Your life does not need a big change. It needs a better way of thinking. Hey guys, welcome to the Advantage podcast with KMR. I am KMR. Well, my name is Rejoice Azuka Owuseba, but everyone calls me KMR, Kingmaker Rejoice. And this is one podcast where we have conversations where you think, where you come out of your comfort zone and you confront those limiting beliefs and limiting behaviors and limiting patterns that you ordinarily would not confront. I look forward to you growing and becoming through this podcast. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Advantage podcast with KMR. Let's get right into it. Many people think that they need a major life change. So you need a new job, a new city, a new environment, a new start, because something doesn't feel right. So the conclusion is, I need to change everything. But most of the time, you don't need a new life. In fact, your life doesn't need a big change. It just needs a new way of thinking. You see, we all have that desire for a reset where things look off or feel off and your mind is just there at a distance, and that distance is discomfort. That distance can feel like confusion. That distance can feel like added responsibility that maybe you don't have the language for. And so the idea of starting over now starts looking attractive because, new year, new me, new responsibilities, new experiences, right? Because it feels clean, no history, no pressure, no expectations, just a fresh start. But here's the part that most people miss. If your thinking doesn't change, your patterns will follow you. So no matter how many times you try to restart, if you do not change your thinking, your patterns will be replicated. It's just a matter of time. You see, I once had an experience with a coaching client who, just left the job because it felt frustrating. And then, we worked together and we got them another role. And everything felt better in the beginning until a few months later when the same frustrations came back because their approach did not change. What changed was just the environment. So it was the same habits, the same reactions, the same expectations, new environment. So the truth is this, right? Patterns don't change automatically. You don't leave your patterns behind. You carry them around with you. The way you think about responsibility, the way you think about discipline, conflict, growth, all of that travels with you. So when people say, I just need a new environment, what they really mean is, I don't want to deal with what this environment is confronting me with. Yes. So what you're actually doing is you're trying to avoid. You're not actually trying to build something new. So remember, confront your patterns. And the truth is this, external change is visible, but internal shift is not. So the internal shift is actually what produces lasting change. Irrespective of how many times you change you bait a leopard or you wear a jacket over a leopard does not change its spots. The way you interpret situations, the way you respond to discomfort, the way you follow through on decisions, that is what shapes your life over time, not just where you are. So while you want a new job, while you want to move to a new space, while you want to have new relationships, remember that in isolation, these things are not wholesome. If you are not dealing with your patterns, if you're not fixing your patterns, and if you're not paying attention to your personal patterns. And big changes feel attractive. They feel productive. They give you a sense of control. They make you feel like you're doing something. But many times, these big changes can be distractions. They delay the deeper work. So the deeper work of sitting down, of confronting yourself, of dealing with your biases, of dealing with your patterns, it's easier to change your environment than it is to change your thinking. So you want to not ask, where can I go? But you want to start asking, what needs to change in the way I approach this situation? Let leaving be the last option, not the first. Let walking away be the last option, not the first one. Because if you improve the way you think, you'll produce better results. So if you become more patient, more observant, more intentional, and you stop reacting quickly and start reacting properly, over time, your results will now begin to match up with your experiences. Not because you forced the change, but because your approach changed. So before you make a major decision or a major shift, ask yourself, what exactly is not working here? So don't just jump into it. Ask questions. Remember, this podcast is all about getting you to think and to sit with those uncomfortable conversations that ordinarily you're not willing to have. So ask yourself, what exactly is not working here? What part of this is within my control? What patterns keep repeating? And what would I do differently if I stayed? These questions will help you. I'll repeat them again. What exactly is not working here? What part of this is within my control? What pattern keeps repeating? And what would I do differently if I stayed? These answers will bring you to clarity. And clarity shows you the issue is not where you are, but maybe your operating system needs to be upgraded. And this doesn't mean that you shouldn't change your environment, because sometimes change is necessary. But let change come from understanding, not from the need to escape. Let change come from a place that you've thought it through, not your emotions, not pressure. When your thinking is clear, your decisions are clean, and then you move with direction and you're not reacting. Listen, if your life feels off, pause before you restart everything. Look closely. Pay attention to your patterns, to your habits, to your responses. Because the fastest way to change your life is not to change your location, but it is to change the way you think. So here is the question that I want you to sit with today. What pattern in your life will follow you if you don't change how you think? Don't be in a hurry. Sit with it. What patterns will follow you if you don't change the way you think? That's where the real work is. If you find out that pattern, then you are already on your way to change your life. So before you make that big change, remember, think through it. Awesome. Thank you for joining me today. I'll see you next episode. Bye for now.